Alright guys, today I'm going to show you the side steal. I do it a little differently than most, so I'll show you my version. I'll show you some more traditional versions and even like the bottom steal, which is very similar, and some ways that you guys can apply those to your tricks or to other things that you're trying to do. Um, First I'll show you the way that I typically use it. I use it as like a control. I use my ambitious card or just a way to control a card to the top. And it'll look something like this. You take an ace, the ace of spades. If you leave it here in the center of the pack, the idea is to get it to come right back. And that's my version. Like I said, I do that a little differently, and I'll show you why I think it has some advantages over a classic side steal. A classic side steal would look something more like this. You have someone tell you when to stop. You would show them that card. Oh, that's funny, another ace. And you would take that ace and leaving it in the center of the deck, bring it back to the top. Essentially what you're doing is just like it says, the side steal, you're taking the card, you're stealing it right out of the center of the deck through the side. I'm going to teach you the classic version first. The idea is to dribble down the cards or to catch a break, have a spectator stay stop, whatever you'd like. And holding the deck and mechanics grip in the left hand, you're going to display the card with the four fingers on top, thumb on the bottom, okay? And you're going to use, if you notice I have these fingers in my left hand here, you're going to use these as you bring the cards back. Don't bring them back straight on top. Bring your hand in an angle like this, coming towards the left. So as you bring the deck in, you're going to use these fingers to hit this card in about the center and slide it out like that. So that you're going to have the card, when you close the deck, out jog to the right. You guys can see that. Okay, it's out jog to the right. And your hand is going to be on top of the deck like this. Like I said, four fingers on top, thumb on the bottom. So this action is going to be hidden. Okay, I went out kind of deep there so you can see a little bit. But that action is hidden. So at this point, you're here with your hand on top. All you have to do is apply a little bit of pressure to your left thumb to keep the deck trapped while using these three fingers. Actually, I have all four fingers on it at this point. You can have three or four on it. It doesn't matter as long as you have a good grip on the underside of the card to be controlled. And you're going to feed that. As you pull your thumb back, you're going to push this card out even farther into your hand. And you want to try to either get it to clip. You can clip the corner between your pinky and ring finger here. You don't want to do it deep because they'll see it, but just a little clip. And then I kind of rotate the card out so you can get it into your thumb. It doesn't have to be in your thumb tip, but just so your thumb can barely catch it. And that's enough at this angle, or for most angles, as long as you don't set your hand up or down too much. This is pretty covered, but you're not going to be in this position very long. You're going to come right back to the top of the deck, do an all-around square up, or just give it a decent square to motivate the action of bringing your hand back over the deck. If you're a magician, you're going to generally see this move, but it does work for lay people. Like I said, you want to grab the cards, and you're going to show the top card here that you caught at. Bring it over. Your fingertips are going to catch and pull that card out. And you don't always have to trap it between these two fingers. I actually don't do that, but sometimes it works. I'll just get a little bit of pressure. I'll get the card to just kind of dig into my little finger. You know, see how it's catching right there? I just get it to catch, and like I said, I rotate it out so it's at a little angle, just enough where I can get the corner to touch my thumb. And like I said, this is kind of a dirty position. There's a couple angle problems. If someone's to your left, they're going to see this. If they're to your right, they won't. Or in front of you, they won't. But like I said, you're only in this action for a second. So you really don't really have to worry about angles that much because, like I said, the move is done in a second, and it's pretty much all motivated. Okay, and that's the basic side steal. It's really not that hard. You just have to make sure that you find a good spot where the card fits in your hand. Okay, and come over the deck. Like I said, always give it a square up after an all-around square up, or just a normal square, or else it doesn't look motivated. If you were to just come like this and then, oops, sorry, I dropped it. If you were to just show the card, come across, and then just come right on top like that, it looks really funny. So don't do that. Now I'm going to show you my method. I think my method is a little harder, but it's more useful. Because if you were going to use this method, really the only way that you can do it is if you have a card on the bottom of the packet in your right hand, because you have to rely on the pressure from these fingers to pull or to push it out. So like if you're in this position here trying to bury a card, you can't do that. And this is how I do it. What you're going to do is, like you're going to control a card. As you push a card in, you angle it sideways, and push down with your pointer finger so that the card comes out at an angle. Okay, and this is going to be under the cover of your right hand. Now, if you notice, I have my thumb on the bottom of the deck. Okay, this is probably the best angle I can show you. You're going to use that thumb as a pivot point. That's your right thumb right here. Okay, your left middle finger, not to flick you guys off, but your left middle finger is going to contact the side of this card and apply pressure to let it rotate to this position here. Okay, again, I'll show you. It's kind of confusing, but it'll feel pretty natural once you start to do it. You push the card in and angle it here. Okay, your left thumb is going to stay on this bottom portion of the deck as your right thumb, and your left middle finger is going to spin the card, rotate the card on your thumb. See how it's touching here? And this left middle finger comes down and rotates it so that it's like halfway out. Okay, but under the cover of your right hand, you cannot see that. I got it a little too far out, but generally you won't be able to see that. The card's just kind of falling. Okay, so and generally your hand would be here. I just moved my hand out of the way so you can see what's going on. You'd still be in mechanic's grip. Okay, so one more time. It comes in, you're in mechanic's grip, comes this way and spins out. Now, as it comes down, you're going to take the right hand off and you're going to try to pinch it in the same way. You're going to get it right on the fleshy pad of your pinky, your right pinky, and your left thumb, or your right thumb is going to grab the other corner and you're going to pull it out of the deck. Okay? And you're going to be in this position here. You kind of got like a weird palm going on. Okay? And then you're just going to come right back over the deck and give it a square. Now, this one has its disadvantages too. It is easier to use in certain situations. Like I said, if you want to bury a card, it's much more effective. However, it can be noisy. You can hear a little click sometimes when you get the card to come out of the deck. Like that one wasn't that bad, but sometimes you'll hear a click. And if you guys are first starting out, you'll know exactly what I mean. The only way you can get over that really is just with practice. If you bow the card a little bit, it's going to give it more of a click, so you want to try to avoid bowing it. That's really the only advice I can give you. Practice on that. But like I said, that one's really cool, and it even works. I like doing ambitious card routines where I leave a card face up and do like a pass or something, because I think that creates a very visual bringing it to the top. And the side steal is great for that, because like I said, you can take the card out and visually bring it back to the top. And that's my method. Like I said, just make sure you bring it in diagonal. And what's cool, another thing I like about this one, you can leave it in this position. Once you rotate it on your thumb, in this position, you're cool. You can chill, you can talk, you can use both your hands and gesture, and then come back to mechanic's grip and take the card out. And it kind of takes the heat off the moment. You know, if you make it the moment that you put it in, people are really watching you at that point. They want to make sure what you're doing is fair. But if you put it in, make the maneuver, and then just chill for a couple minutes, or a couple good seconds. That gives you the opportunity to come back when there's not so much heat on the deck. That's a good piece of advice. So that's why I like that one too. Like I said, if you do it face up, it creates a pretty startling color change. You can even do it like so. You can do it with the deck face up, and it looks like that queen is just going to change into an 8. And then there's the bottom steal. The bottom steal is very similar. And this is another one that you can kind of do on the fly. You don't really have to have a setup or anything. Let's say you want to change this 8 into a king. Holding the deck and like middle grip between your pointer and middle finger and thumb on the other side, just like so, you're going to bring back your left hand and use these 2 fingers or 3 fingers to slide this bottom card over. Okay, about halfway, maybe a little more. And you can't see that undercover because you have the cards in middle grip. And you slide it over and then come to grab the deck. And you're going to grab it just like the first side steal that I showed you, between your pinky and your thumb, and just slide that card out from the bottom and bring it right back to the top, just like so. And like I said, that creates a pretty startling color change too. Like I said, if you take the king, you change it into a black one. A little bit of practice, it's pretty cool. It's also a good move to bring cards from the top to the bottom, so hopefully you guys will find applications. Please comment, subscribe if you have any questions. Just shoot me a comment. I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability, and I hope you guys learn. It's a pretty cool move. Thanks.